so people are going to see what we have to offer. So it's more like, you know, spreading things out a little bit so it's a little bit easier to shop.
Currently, Craig Cox is the managing editor of the fine Utne Reader, but for 8 years, he was associated with food co-ops and has written a book about them, Storefront Revolution, Food Co-ops, and the Counterculture. Sounds like a textbook for a political science class. Craig, what prompted you to come up with this book?
Well, I was very much involved in the co-ops in the late 70s, and at a time when it was the halcyon days of the co-op movement. And also, I was a student of the counterculture. I was really interested in the 60s and that time. And the two kind of came together in ways that surprised me.
Based on what we just saw, the expansion of the co-ops, are Bylerly's and Lund's concerned?
Well, they're not going to go out of business because of the co-ops, but there's clearly the co-ops are taking some of their market share away, especially co-ops like Wedge and Mississippi Market.
Will we ever see the day, perhaps not you or I, but future generations, when the co-op will be the major grocery dispenser?
No. There was a pipe dream back in the 70s that there'd be 1,000 co-ops, each serving 1,000 members, and that they'd take over the food distribution system in the Twin Cities. But they're poorly organized back then, and they're only now starting to really do business. And they don't have access to capital like the big grocery chains have.
Speaking of which, what kind of capital? What are they? If they're presumably a non-profit organizations, where do they get their financing?
Well, they have to go to their members. There's a big push toward member equity in co-ops these days, trying to get members to pony up money so that the co-ops can expand. They go to banks, and they'll get small loans from banks, but banks have never trusted co-ops, not even back in the 30s, and they still don't.
They're out of touch with the common folk. Do you see the day when co-ops will have large delis and some doodads, almost something like the drugstore shelves?
I think that you're going to see that someday. It's still a ways away, but the whole trend is toward consolidation. It's all toward getting larger and really competing in the real world.
I want to shoot you a curve now. How much money can a person save shopping at a co-op rather than Lund's or Byerly's or Kowalski's?
You know, in the old style co-ops in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, you could save 20, 30% on a small basket of food. But nowadays, at a place like the Wedge, the prices aren't significantly different.
You mentioned an organization called the Whole Store. What's the Whole Store?
Whole Foods is a chain of grocery stores based in Austin, Texas, that is expanding at an incredible rate all around the country. The owner of the chain came out of the food co-op movement down in Austin, and they sell what co-ops sell, only it's a for-profit corporation.
Whoops, we have to leave. Craig, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We've been educated again, ladies and gentlemen. After it had been blown away, we were all somewhat appeased that the Met Center just refused to give in altogether. But no, later we learned it was planned that way. We'll go over